not sure what that is. I am not sure what that is. I am not sure what Oh my God. I was freaking myself out. It's like, oh my God, my computer has a freaking ghost. But I had YouTube open in a different tab because I was sending somebody the link to the live stream, and that was playing in the background, and then it was echoing and hey everybody, welcome to Thursday Night Live. So my question for tonight, and I could probably spend a couple of hours on this topic, but I'm just going to focus on one area. And the question is, who gave them the right? So there's been a lot of talk about high-tech industries being released on communities. And basically the residents, meaning you and me, have absolutely no say and no vote on their incorporation. And what is happening is that decisions are being made somewhere, whether it's the state, local, state, or federal level, that are saying okay to these high-tech devices, high-tech industries moving into our communities, but we don't know that it's happening. We don't know anything until it is too late. So that, my friends, is what we're going to be talking about tonight on Thursday Night Live. So the first thing that I want to address are data centers. Data centers are popping up all over the place. Now, what they're going to be used for, I mean, obviously AI is on the move. The industry is getting bigger and bigger. There isn't anything that you can't touch that doesn't have some kind of AI thing built into it. If you're on a website, the chat thing is AI generated. If you are making a phone call to a business, half the time it's like, well, maybe I can help you. And it's like, no, representative, I don't want to talk to you, AI bot, because you're stupid. And so that obviously is going to need computing power. But how much do we really need? How much do we really need? And actually, all right, I don't know how long ago, but I'll say today, President Trump basically said that, we should just become okay with data centers because they're okay and they're good for us. Okay. So, so basically what they're saying is that local communities can sit there and approve the construction of a data center because it goes through planning and zoning and does not need to have the community approve the data center going in. But what they don't consider is the amount of electricity that these data centers require, or the amount of water that these data centers require, and the impact of that heavy load on the community, and their needs, their electric and their water needs. And so it just doesn't seem very fair, for them to just come in and build these things and then affect everybody around them. One of the things that I heard or that I read was that some of these data centers, okay, so there have been a lot of complaints about noise, and how it's vibrating their windows. And so one reason that would make sense to me of why they're so loud and they're vibrating windows is that some data centers, instead of tapping into the local electrical energy, which, by the way, the electrical energy cannot be solar, it cannot be wind, it cannot be any of these alternative energy sources because they're inconsistent. And it's more important for them to not have a brownout and have their electricity interrupted, but yours can. It's all okay. But anyway, but many of these data centers are actually run on generators. And so if you have like a generator that you use when the power goes out at your house, take that and multiply it by, I'm going to say 50 times. There are industrial generators that have got to be like 8 or 10 feet wide by 15 or 20 feet long. I mean, they are massive, massive engines. And when they run, if they're not enclosed in some kind of an airtight container, they are loud, loud, loud. And we're not talking about one generator, creating energy for the whole data center. We're talking about banks of generators, which I can't even imagine if I have a data center across the street from me, how loud that noise would be and how much vibration there would be. And it would just be awful, awful. And then one of the other things that I saw was that these data centers, I mean, there's the water usage, and you just really can't guess what that is. And so a data center requires 300 to 500,000 gallons of water a day. And that's the amount of water that is a small city. Well, a small city uses about 50,000 gallons of water a day. And so putting that kind of a strain on a municipal water system, I got nothing for it. Again, why weren't these communities consulted? Why wasn't the infrastructure put in prior to these data centers going in? They knew how much water they were going to need. They knew how much electricity they were going to need. And they should have, planning and zoning in these areas should have required them to get their utilities in place and not impact the community. But they impacted the community. So again, why wasn't the community asked? Not right. And so, okay, so this one was really funny. Speaking about the water. And so Google, Microsoft, and Meta have made water replenishment commitments that they will replenish more water into the water system. I don't even know how they would do that than their facility uses. But it's a water replenishment commitment, but they could commit to replenishing the water, in the year 2085, that's not really like we're doing it today. It's just a commitment that we're going to do it. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I personally don't believe it. I don't believe it. One of the other things that it's like, well, who gave you permission for are and I'm going to start with the flock cameras because that has been getting just so much airtime lately. So a flock we're out on the street, and as you go by, it just registers your license plate, which who really wants them doing that in the first place? But okay, there's that part. And so, but they can use that to find you if you do something nefarious, much easier. But what could go wrong? They're just like documenting your license plate. I'm not doing anything bad or anything. But how can it go wrong? So one woman was arrested. Okay, so this wasn't from a flock camera, but there's all of this surveillance stuff going on. And so she was arrested because there was facial recognition software used at a store or something. And she was arrested for the crime in a state that she doesn't live in, that she has never visited. And It took her months. They like picked her up, put her in jail for this crime that she had no involvement with. She had to engage lawyers, and she spent time in jail, and it took months and months to clear her name based on AI facial recognition that said, "Up, that's the broad. Go pick her up, 3 states away." Obviously, they didn't catch her license plate number on the flock camera while she was committing that crime. Apparently not. Went back to the flock cameras. So there have been a number of police officers who have accessed the flock camera data and have used it to track people like family members outside of official businesses, outside of official business. And so they have been separated from their employment. I've also heard stories of the flock camera data being hacked already. So whatever data they have in there is not safe. And if they can hack in to take data, that there's nothing to say that they can't hack in and put in data. You know, like, hey, I want to get you accused of a crime, so I'm just going to like put in data and put your license plate in. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. There's facial surveillance stuff that's going up in different areas. There have been people posting videos of these flock cameras in a park. Okay, there's no license plates in a park, and there's no license plates in a wooded area. So that doesn't even make any sense at all. You know, and then what are the chances of some outside person getting access to this data and using it against you? It's possible. But speaking about this data, you know, because what these things do is they read the information. See, this is why we need the data centers. They read the information and then they just store it on the cloud, and you know, and then they can access it at any point in time. I mean, there's not any requirement necessarily for them to delete it. And so I want to use the case of Nancy Guthrie as an example. Excuse me. So as you know, Nancy Guthrie was abducted, I don't know, I want to say like a year ago. And it was all over the news, everywhere. This 84 woman, her daughter worked for, you know, a news organization, and it was like the only, I mean, I hate to belittle it, you know, like she was the only person that's ever been abducted, you know, but it got wall-to-wall news coverage. And so they finally posted some doorbell footage of some guy in a mask at her door. But you have to sit there and kind of unwind the scene a little bit. So Nancy had a Google Nest bell. So it's kind of like a Ring doorbell that, you know, if it's if activity sets it off, it will record. But Nancy didn't pay for the subscription for her data to be stored. You know, she was using it like a doorbell, you know, and if somebody rings the bell, she can look on her phone and see who's at the door, you know, as a security camera. And so you had to pay a subscription for you to be able to go and access past data. Well, she didn't have that subscription. However, law enforcement subpoenaed her account, and they managed to get those videos of that guy on her porch. So what that says is, even if you are not paying the subscription, that data is being stored there, and somebody can get it if they really want to. Scary. It's just scary. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that. Oh, and in addition to Flock, which is the company name, there's a company called Axon who is also doing the license plate cameras, except theirs are mounted onto light posts. And it's actually their product is called Light Post. Then there's another one. I just heard about this one, and Raylan McBride is doing a piece on it that will drop next week, where there's something called safe something, where, okay, so, you know, you go into the store and there are those dome cameras in the ceiling, you know, in the different aisles. Well, now they have software that takes that camera footage and does a biometric reading off of you and stores it in their system. And so if you do something and you're flagged as an offender, then that information, so let's say you go to Kroger and you shoplift something, or they think you shoplift something, you know, or you have bad hair and you're wearing funky clothes and they put a little check next to your name, bad person, and you go to a Kroger in a different store, that Kroger at the different location is going to be alerted that you have walked in the store and they should watch you or be wary of you. Now, how could that possibly go wrong in any sense of the word? Now, they say that if you are not identified as a bad person, the data is taken off their system in a second. And if you are, it stays on there longer. Again, Nancy Guthrie, she didn't pay for her subscription, but they still had all the information that was coming off of her doorbell camera. So I don't know where we're going. All I know is that we didn't ask for this. We didn't give them permission to do this. I don't really have an answer of how to stop it. I would say, you know, write to your congressman, but I don't like any of them right now anyway. You know, breathe a lot, pray a lot, and do what you do. But obviously don't do anything bad because they're just going to come to your door and get you. So that's my thing for today, our soul healer moment. And as always, if you would like to schedule a private consultation with me, please go to my webpage, soulhealer.com. It is loaded with articles and information. I drop a new article probably every 2 weeks. You could also find those articles on my Substack account, which is at Dr. Rita Louise on Substack. You know, I mentioned Raylan. You can check out Raylan and his tinfoil hat videos at the Bark of Reason on YouTube. He has his own personal channel. And if you're watching this episode or watching this show on a platform like BitChute or Rumble or wherever you might happen to catch it, and you want to join in the conversation, the best place to go is to my YouTube channel. And that's at Just Energy Radio on YouTube, at Just Energy Radio on YouTube, 7 p.m. Central. I would love to see you here. You can get a free on-air psychic reading, which we are going to roll into just in a second. And as always, I would just really appreciate it if you would go, where are you? I clicked on you. There we go. If you would go to my different channels, like if you're here watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel, set the notifications up. You know, I'm at Dr. Rita Louise on Substack, Dr. Rita Louise on Twitter, and Psychic Doc on Rumble. I'm everywhere. Just look for the poodle in the tinfoil hat, because that would be me. But I would just really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to those channels, because that just helps me and my metric. And it'll keep you informed of what I have going on. Okie dokie. Okay. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Okay, so here are the rules of engagement. If you would like to get a reading, all you need to do is go into the chat area and say, hey, Dr. Rita Louise, your hair looks amazing today. And actually, it kind of looks good. I'd like to get a reading, and then provide me with a number between 1 and 3. And that's how many times I will shuffle the cards on your behalf. And then I will pull a card for you. Now, if the line of people seems really long, there's several things that you can do. And hopefully this is going to work. No, you know, for paying as much money I do for this software, you would think it would work better. I mean, except if I have like the show open in a different browser and then I'm getting reverb and weird stuff and freaking myself out. Anyway, but other things you can do is you can jump the line. So if you want to make sure that you get your reading All you need to do is go to soulhealer.com/live. That's soulhealer.com/live. Click the jump the line button, and I will get a notification, and you will be the person next in line to get a reading. If you have a specific question you would like to ask, like, hey, Dr. Rita, I just started this relationship. What do you think? You can do that there. Just click the Ask Dr. Rita link, put your question in, and again, you will jump the line and be next. And also, if you're enjoying the programming, you're enjoying the message, you like the reading that you get, soulhealer.com/live, and you can leave me a little something in the tip